What's the most dangerous place in your country? West Baltimore. They had a free guns for cash exchange at a police station a few years back. Someone handed in a grenade launcher. I'm being told it was a rocket launcher. Also, free sounds weird in my sentence. I meant to say if you had a felony, or otherwise was not supposed to have a gun, they gave you the cash, and you were free from prosecution. There were no questions asked. Everywhere, South Africa BTW. Thanks everyone for the support on this comment, felt unreal. Just had a pretty crap day, but this made me forget about it entirely. I'll try to answer any questions ASAP. But here's some probably useless info. I'm 17. We left South Africa November 2019, and came here to the land down under, Australia. It's a wonderfully place to live and I've never been happier. Like I said, I'll try to answer as many questions as possible. And thanks for wishing me a happy cake day.
Hey guys, much like you, I love reading people's stories on Ask Reddit. Unfortunately, there's a lot of weird middle school level, just thought experiment type hypotheticals like nice try Baskin Robbins. I don't find this compelling, so that's why I've made it my mission to trawl and crawl through Ask Reddit and find the very best content and put it in your ears. That's why I'm begging you, like and subscribe. If there's anything I can do to help you out, give you the kind of content that you crave to help you get through your workday, let me know in a comment, but please like and subscribe.
In the eastern part of Kazakhstan, there is a place, Dead Lake. It is small in size, surrounded by beautiful scenery, far from residential buildings, but it has a bad reputation. People drown in the lake almost every year. Locals try to bypass this strange place, which attracts tourists. The water in the Dead Lake, even in the summer heat, is simply icy. There are no fish, no algae, trees along the shore do not grow, and even mosquitoes. Divers who decided to dive say, in a couple of minutes they catch their breath. There is not enough air, for some unknown reason. I had a friend who visited Finland, and he only stayed there for like one night for some reason. He told me he tried to walk around but it was fucking cold and then he slipped into a ditch and he couldn't get out for like 10 minutes. When he finally got out he just went home and slept. I would say the various mountain trails that appeal to Norwegians and tourists. So many people hike these trails in remote parts of the country without proper equipment and knowledge. My girlfriend is an experienced mountain hiker and told me of an instance where she was walking a trail with a friend where they met a family. My girlfriend and her friend were both in proper clothes that are water and wind resistant. They wore good hiking boots and were carrying backpacks with equipment like maps, compass, provisions, tools, etc. The family they met were foreign tourists, a couple with 3 kids. The kids ranged from 6 years old to an infant that was no more than 9 months old. They were all wearing shorts, t-shirt and simple shoes. I think the wife was even wearing flip-flops. On this specific trail they were basically wandering from cabin to cabin. These cabins are spread across the trail and managed by a tourism association. They provide overnight accommodation and meals for hikers. In many cases it is a full day's hike from cabin to cabin, and it is exactly on one of these hikes that this family was going on. They were clearly unprepared for this trip and had to be airlifted out by an emergency helicopter. What most people aren't aware of is that death is not off the table in these circumstances. People might end up in a spot of bad weather, like rain or snow even in mid-July. Or they deviate from the path and injure themselves or die from exposure or falling. There are many cases that soldiers come to your house at night and arrest a family member and then send back the dead body in the morning. And if you are a teenager, you have a high chance that you can get arrested because most of the protesters are teenagers even if you are not a protester. Sorry for the bad English. If you want to know more about what is happening in Myanmar, this video might help you. I shot a movie in Cape Town in 2018. SA is fucking nuts. I grew up in 80s 90s East LA, so I thought I was used to crazy shit, but I had no idea how bad it could get. Houses with 8 feet walls and electric wire at the top, train cars constantly being set ablaze, a full-on riot near Stellenbosch where our SA crew told us to avoid because they'd kill anyone not from there, and if the people don't get you the fucking wild baboons will. I almost got robbed by 3 guys walking to my apartment, and the studio had to hire security personnel to escort us to our cars every day after work. SA is one of the most beautiful, amazing, yet insane places I've been to. A friend of mine is from Chihuahua. He said it was pretty bad, not sure if there is worse. I remember him specifically telling me he couldn't keep his windows down in the heat because people reached in his car to steal anything they could at red lights, probably rural Moldova in Romania, of the ghetto in Bucharest at night, Ferentar. It's a pretty safe country. I mean, there is a small chance that someone will pickpocket you, never happened in almost 25 years, but no one is going to go stabby stab or shooty tooty on you. There is a similar lake zone in Northern California near Mammoth Lakes, which is a caldera, volcanically active. A lake called Horseshoe Lake has an area that emits a lot of CO2, which apparently in high concentrations can knock you out really fast. I've been there, but I don't like tempting fate, so I didn't stick around or go down by the water. The area was kinda bowl-shaped with a still lake at the bottom, and a ring of dead trees along one side.
This year, like I said, I'm having a midlife crisis. I've started a YouTube channel and I'm on a big health kick. One thing that I found is very easy to eat, very easy to prepare, is I heat up chickpeas with chicken broth and tikka masala. And there are two schools of thought about how you should eat beans. Some people believe you should buy the dry beans and soak them, but I tried that and it was a disaster. So I buy canned beans every time. And if I'm opening like 2 cans a day to be on this diet, it is a massive pain in the ass if the can has this jagged metal edge. You know, I'm worried if like little bits of metal are getting into my food and going to slice up my intestines. So I found this special can opener that actually opens the can in a way that is completely safe, no metal's getting in your food, and it is 1,000 times better than any other can opener I've ever used. So if you wind up, opening a lot of cans for whatever reason, maybe you've got a cat or something, you must buy this can opener from my affiliate link.
Ho amigo, I live near Tierra Caliente. If you want, search for Uruapan, Tierra Caliente. Turn on the translator and go to the news. There really are areas and towns that look like war zones. At least I live in the quiet part of this hell, and your friend is not lying to you. Chihuahua is also somewhat of a place. I'm not from NZ, and I was walking back from the ferry late one night and was lost and walking through a kinda sketchy industrial area. An older woman literally drove over and asked if she could drop me somewhere closer to where I needed to go. Another time I got picked up by a trucker while hitchhiking. He told me he logged me as a guest in his truck so I was covered by insurance in case we had an accident. Then he bought me a meal at a gas station. Another time I got picked up hitchhiking on the way to a national park for a walk. Driver said he wouldn't drop me until I came home for lunch and some extra water for camping. Honestly, I get into sketchy situations a lot while traveling cause I like adventure, and in NZ everyone was so nice and wholesome, it was so chill. I've lived in Colorado near the mountains for a long time. Almost every year there are stories of people who went for a hike and never came back. Even if you're not really climbing, just hiking those peaceful valleys following a creek, if you don't know what you're doing it's really easy to get disoriented. The weather can turn really fast, and unless you're a local, you wouldn't see it coming. And winter days are short. Having gone out for a 3-hour hike in a peaceful valley in nice weather, now you find yourself lost in a dark night in the middle of a snowstorm in sub-zero temperatures. Plenty of people have frozen to death in those circumstances. No need to even mention bears, coyotes, mountain lions, rattlesnakes, black widows and other interesting fauna. Having tried some of the touristic trails in Norway, the level of gear some try to walk in is simply amazing. Preikestolen comes to mind as one of those. When went hiking there I tried to start as early as possible to avoid the crowds, and it's not a very hard hike, but the weather shifts quickly, and I'm glad that I always prepare and wear proper gear. When walking back, meeting all the tourists was a minor shock. Some people walked in full leather motorcycle gear, flip-flops, high heels, no water or food whatsoever. One group stopped us to ask for directions. You can barely go wrong as Therese, a lot of people to follow, after having walked about 10 of the distance. They were absolutely exhausted and asked if it's close to get to the cliff. We suggested maybe they should turn around as they had barely even left the parking. One part of me is so happy that people want to get out. Another is frustrated that people don't plan ahead. When skiing in Japan I was told that if you get stuck in the canyon, we will pick you up with a helicopter, but you'll be invoiced, as a lot of Australian tourists apparently wanted to backcountry and instead got stuck in canyons. Maybe something to copy for Norway? For anyone going hiking, have a look at the Norwegian Fjellvettregling, the Norwegian mountain code. As hiking is immensely popular there, have you seen how beautiful it is? This is an excellent basis for anyone heading into the mountains or just hiking in your backyard wherever you are. 1. Plan your trip and inform others about the route you have selected. 2. Adapt the planned routes according to ability and conditions. 3. Pay attention to the weather and the avalanche warnings. 4. Be prepared for bad weather and frost, even on short trips. 5. Bring the necessary equipment so you can help yourself and others. 6. Choose safe routes. Recognize avalanche terrain and unsafe ice. 7. Use a map and a compass. Always know where you are. 8. Don't be ashamed to turn around. 9. Conserve your energy and seek shelter if necessary. I once went sledding on a Sunday near Gary and had to drive through downtown. It was a total ghost town, and a local bank had its front window smashed and a loud alarm was ringing, literally echoing down the nearby streets. We continued on, went sledding, and a couple hours later on our way back through Gary the alarm was still going off, nobody in sight. It was fucking surreal. Moldovan here, from the other side of the river, nowadays the Republic of Moldova, so arguably more dangerous villages. Can confirm what my neighbor said above, 99 chance you can walk outside at night in any village and be fine, especially as a tourist. You might get heckled or run into some drunk guys if you pass the local bars, but otherwise it's not more dangerous than your average place. Avoid areas with nightclubs and definitely don't go clubbing alone in villages. In cities it's fine as long as you don't piss off the wrong people. As a general rule, maybe stick to just Chisinau and avoid Balti, city in the north, and the Transnistrian region. Not sure who this is for, as I would assume that if you're visiting the Republic of Moldova, you know someone local. I'm not even sure it exists. I haven't heard anything about Idaho in years. Heel, I only remember it was even a state because in elementary school every time someone said Idaho in class this one kid would get super excited and be like, it's not Idaho, it's Idaho. That kid was fucking stupid and super annoying with that shit. It was me. I was that kid. If it was an M37 flare launcher then it is legal to own by. The grenades are a different story. I've seen articles claiming a rocket launcher was turned in. Look at the article and it's a spent law tube, which is a single-use weapon, so don't lose any sleep over it. Found it, probably. This is not unique to Norway. I'm in Colorado and frequently run into people completely unprepared for the conditions they're in. I've encountered people attempting to do 12-mile hikes, at high elevation in flip-flops with no water or clothes for inclement weather. They start way too late in summer when we have storms that roll in like clockwork in the afternoons. It is unwise to be above treeline during these storms unless you want to be struck by lightning. A French buddy of mine that lives near the Alps sent me a news story about a French couple that had disappeared back in the 1930s. Some melting snow ice revealed their bodies recently, almost perfectly preserved and still wearing the clothes they went out in. Their daughter was still around to claim the bodies. Edit another user, Sadrar, dug up the article on this. Really interesting read for anyone who's curious about this. Google Translate if you don't read French.
I turned 36 this year, and I decided to focus on my physical fitness, so I bought a swim club membership. The only problem was, most of the time when I go swimming, I wind up getting an ear infection. So, it turns out that normal earplugs that kind of irritate your ear canal, they don't really work, they don't keep the water out, but there is an amazing kind of earplug called Mack Pillow Soft Silicone earplugs that, they feel great, they keep the water out 100%, they're reusable, and they don't irritate your ear canal at all, no issues. If you've ever had a severe ear infection, you don't want to experience that again. It can permanently damage your hearing if you're unlucky. So, investing in these earplugs is definitely a good idea. Also, when my baby was crying later this year and I could not get to sleep, I used the same earplugs and they worked great, I was able to sleep right next to a crying baby. So be sure to click my affiliate link and purchase some of these Max earplugs today.
It's usually like clubbing in a city but just with worse alcohol until someone sees the neighbor who tried to steal 2 meters of his yard by moving the fence 2 summers ago. Then he remembers he has shovels and other tools that can be used as weapons, so he and his mates go arm themselves up and it usually ends in a marriage with the other guy's sister. It's not really living in fear, depending on what area you're in. It's just the norm for us. Reading through this thread has actually made me realize that it isn't the norm everywhere else. Funnily enough, one day we came home to find that the entire window in one of our bedrooms was surgically removed, and they somehow got through the motion sensors without setting the alarm off. Stole our nice brand new 3D TV. Our burglars are of the highest standard, Ocean's 11 type motherfuckers. But whenever we leave the house we make sure to pack our valuables away where potential thieves wouldn't think to look, and to lock every bedroom door from the outside so they'd be isolated to that room.
Do you have any idea how convenient it is to use a Keurig machine for brewing coffee or tea? Personally, I gave up coffee a long time ago, but I was able to get a great, delicious cup of coffee in just seconds with no cleanup, no extra work using a Keurig machine and a K-cup. And now I use my Keurig machine to brew tea loose leaf tea every day that I drink, and I also use it to make oatmeal and, anything else that you can put hot water into. So if you don't have a Keurig machine in your house, you're missing out. Try my affiliate link below in the description of the video, and you too can enjoy a great cup of coffee in seconds any time of day.